Well, hi Mel, thanks for joining me today. You've just come through the Career Codex Executive Edge program, which I know we're going to have a chat about in a moment. But to kick
Yeah.
off, perhaps you could just
Mm.
give us a bit of background on on you and your career history to date.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm sitting now in Copenhagen, which is where I live. But I've had a 23-year career in HR back in the UK up until 3 years ago, working my way through some quite blue chip organisations in different sectors and working up to a learning and development director kind of role for Carlsberg. So I work at Carlsberg. I was working at Carlsberg headquarters here in Copenhagen, having been asked to come over here 3 years ago from Carlsberg, UK. So generalist kind of HR career so far.
Okay, thank you. So you've been through the Career Codex Executive Edge program. We've just finished. What prompted you to get in touch in the first place?
I'd been given a redundancy notification from Carlsberg, and I was starting to think about, well, how am I going to look for a job when I want to stay in Copenhagen with my husband? And I was really, to be honest, I was floundering around, being pretty unfocused,
Right.
and spending a lot of time probably spending a lot of time overanalyzing my CV and
Yeah.
all those things that I now know.
Many people do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of, and I think I answered one of your surveys online, and then you got in touch with me. And yeah, we took it from there really. So
Yeah.
I knew I needed help, but I didn't really know what help I needed.
Yeah. So if you were to define those initial pain points or initial challenges, what would they specifically be, do you think?
Um, it's the first time I'd ever looked for a job outside of the UK, and also I hadn't looked for a job really for years, because every time I changed jobs, someone would mention something to me, or an executive recruiter would get in contact and talk to me about something. And it was the first time I'd ever had to drive the job search process for myself, and
Right.
and that was a pain point. Um, Also, being in Copenhagen, I don't really have a job searching network. I didn't have a network of people over here that I knew. Most of the people I knew were in the UK, so that
Okay.
was a pain point as well.
Okay. So what were your goals from the program at the start?
Um, so my goals were to find a new job in Copenhagen, and to find the kind of job that would excite me, because Carlsberg had offered me another job that sounded very uninspiring, and I'd said no. And I really wanted in my own mind to justify that decision
Right.
by making sure that the next job I got was exciting and
Yeah.
that I genuinely wanted to do it.
Okay. Okay. Now, obviously, having come through the program, you know a couple of things I emphasise are psychology and taking proactive control of your job search. But from your
Yeah.
perspective, how would you describe your journey and what you picked up along the way?
So my journey was a couple of things. The proactiveness, it took maybe a couple of weeks for it to really click in my mind, but as soon as it clicked, I suddenly realised what you were talking about. In terms of two things: proactively managing the actions I took to look for a job. So
Yeah.
choosing which companies to approach, choosing which people to approach, choosing how to do it. So putting lots of choice back with myself.
Yeah.
And the second practice piece was the whole learning journal. I can't remember if it's called that.
Thinking journal. Thinking journal.
Thinking journal.
Yeah.
So I was really very skeptical about that at the beginning, thinking, oh, really? And Simon's going to be able to read this? What am I going to write in it? And realizing that is a proactive way of me increasing my productivity, because it really taught me a few things about when I'm not productive and what I can do about it.
Yeah, it's a window into your mind and your activities, and many people at the outset think, oh, why am I doing this? But by the end, they realise how important it actually has been in their transformation in terms of what they're doing and finding that next position. What was there one particular highlight or one important part that you could really put your finger on and say that was the bit that really resonated or really helped me?
Yes, I was thinking about this earlier, because The big point for me was when I ceased to be nervous about interviews and I started to look forward to them and enjoy them. And just the way in which you suggest that we prepare for those was a real turning point for me. And the first time I used the approach for a particular vacancy that a conversation had produced, it was just such a different experience. I genuinely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I found the preparation interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because
so I think that was the turning point.
Yeah, and because you enjoy it, the interviewer enjoys it, which means there's a better outcome for everybody, and that's part of the thing it's all about. Had you considered any other solutions prior to getting in contact and going through the Executive Edge program? Any other solutions to try and help you on this journey?
I did. A couple. There was I can't remember the phrase that was used now, but there was an executive coaching program that I looked at. To be honest, it was super expensive, both in terms of money and time. And compared with what you described when we first had our first introduction conversation, what you described was so much more practical, and I could immediately visualize myself doing it. Whereas the other stuff, it sounded a bit vague, and I thought, what am I actually going to get from it? So that was the first thing I'd looked at.
Yeah.
Second thing I didn't just look at, I paid for, was to have an expert rewrite my LinkedIn profile. And although at the time I was very pleased with myself because it felt like a good quality service because it was incredibly detailed, of course, you do a lot of editing because it's not your personality that they're writing in it. It's they're trying their best to understand your personality. So in hindsight, that was quite expensive for the amount of time I personally ended up having to put into it. So if I was to go round again, I don't think I would do that next time.
Yeah, and as you know now, you've got to put your own positioning out there in terms of your CV, resume, LinkedIn profile. Okay. Last couple of questions.
Yeah.
What's been the outcome for you? Because you've been through this program. Obviously, you've been looking for an outcome. What's been the outcome for you?
So I got a new job, and there was a time pressure for me because there couldn't be more than a month of unemployment in between jobs for me not to be able to still be on like an expat tax situation here in Copenhagen. So I was under time pressure, but I got a new job. I started on the 3rd of January, and I think, I haven't actually worked it out, but I think maybe 3 months is how long I spent using your processes in a very disciplined way. So I started my new job 2 weeks ago, and it ticks the exciting box.
That's a good start.
Which is a good start, and I genuinely feel that it's going to give me career development, which is the other thing I wanted, because they're the two things I wanted to prove to myself that I could get outside of Carlsberg.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's great news.
Thank you.
Great news. And for anyone watching this who is thinking about making an executive transition, moving in the executive job market, and considering Career Codex as a solution, what would you say? What would you say to somebody watching?
I would say go for it. I would say it's extremely cost effective and cost efficient, and there are 3 things that I have learned that will stay with me. Not just looking for a job, not just how to find those hidden jobs, but also just my own personal productivity, and also my own online activity and networking activity professionally. So there are 3 permanent lessons that I've learned that are well worth the investment of time. I will never treat looking for a job the same way I used to. I will always do it differently. I will always keep the networking activity going in the background, and I'm more productive professionally than I was before because of some of the disciplines I've learned. So for me, there's like 3 sources of value for it.
Okay, great to hear. Thank you, Mel. Thank you. Well, it's been great to work with you. I'm really pleased you've got your solution. You're excited about the future in this new position, and I wish you every success for the future. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Simon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.